We actually, the writer and I, when we developed the concept, initially it was a standalone short film, and as we did it, and I'm in post on it, I realized that it would make an awesome series. So we pitched it to various people as a series. And actually, rather than be a pilot episode, the short would end up being the finale. And we would look at the crime that's the subject of the short from all the other characters that we meet. So it'd be like a 24. You'd see everything from everybody's perspective in one day over like an 8-episode piece.
That's fantastic.
So we've written the treatment. We're just standing by.
Well, that's exciting. Kat, yes.
Yeah, I know the movie is kind of like just like a slice of a TV series or slice of a film. And I know that the writers did want to have it be like a series. That was part of their intention. That's all. My previous film, Girl Trip, it's a proof of concept for a TV series, and so it's like 20 minutes long. And I think I love shorts just in general just as a medium. My attention span likes shorts, like I love going to see shorts and seeing, different ones all together. And I think they're great in their own right, but it is a nice way to be able to pitch your vision, on a larger scale and have people see it. And there can be the risk of people being like, well, you already did it, it's done, but yeah.
Yeah. Chips, have you thought about taking Chicken Man beyond its current format?
Well, the first time I wrote something similar to the story, it was actually much shorter, and so this is already a longer version of its initial concept. And for a while I considered making it into an even longer form thing, but I kind of like how it turned out, and I don't want to do it again and it be worse. So I kind of think I'm just going to move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love short films the same way I love short stories. And I really do think they're not easy to make because you're trying to say something in a short amount of time. Tell me a little bit about your inspiration for these stories. I know you've touched upon it a little bit, but maybe go in a bit more detail. Sarah, why don't you tell me how you created this and made this project and why?
Yeah. So basically, I love sci-fi and musicals. Those are my two genres that I'm obsessed with. And I find them to be actually significantly more alike than many people know. But this specifically supplements is a world that I've lived in for a long time. I read a lot of Scientific American, and I am very obsessed with time travel theories as well. So this is kind of the world. This was the shortest story I could tell that was set in the world that I see as a possible future. Basically, that's how supplements came, because there's so much world and so much story to tell in the supplements world, very much of which I've had sort of outlined already as far as a series would go. And as far as less than 20 minutes, this was the only amount of story I could tell that would make sense, because in sci-fi, a lot of it is establishing what our rules are in this world and what can these people do and what can they not do? And so for me, it didn't make sense to go to another planet in the middle of a 20-minute short. So this is the story that we told for the pilot, with an obvious cliffhanger at the end to get people on board for this hopefully much longer journey with these really interesting characters. So.
Cool. So Lynda, tell me, you talked about being a single mom, and that was part of your inspiration. What else inspired you to tell this story?
What I wanted to do with Lancaster Park, in addition to exploring that relationship and the concept of how, you know, parental love and what you will do despite whether you like your child or not. I also wanted to do something that was still drama, but completely different story-wise to my last short. And also, I'm in the Sony Directors Program, and so I needed to show I could do something that would be classified as drama TV. And Lancaster Park is just a bit under 18 minutes, which a half-hour drama with commercials on regular network is about 18 to 20 minutes. So I wanted to show I could direct something within that framework, along the lines of the shows that I have worked on in the past.
Wonderful. Well, I think you were very successful at it.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an interesting, my first short is basically a 10-minute monologue. And there are other characters, but nobody speaks. So every time I was in a meeting with somebody, they would be like, it's a great short, but we can't see if you can actually direct, you know, two people talking to each other. So I was like, okay, I can. Here you go. Next. I'm sure you'll put up another hurdle, white man, for me. Sorry, got political there for a minute. Yeah, no, and I had a really good time doing it. I was like, I want to do something in the desert. I love the look of the desert. I'm obsessed with trailer parks. So I wanted to do something set in a trailer park, and I wanted to do women's stories. So there was a lot of little pieces that all pushed me towards doing this project.
Mm-hmm. Great. So Chips, tell me about your inspiration. What inspired you to make this movie?
Chickens are my favorite animal, and like I had this imagery of like, the initial concept was like, I had this imagery of like a little boy with the head of a chicken who was crying. And so it's just like this mixture of this like very weird like image, but it's also like really sad. And I thought it was kind of funny. And so I wanted to do like a really sad story, but like with a weird character that you wouldn't expect to be in like a sad story, to kind of like, I don't know, just make it slightly humorous to where like you can maybe laugh a couple times, but then also connect to like some of the emotion of, you know, like a mother's love and wanting to fit in for who you are.
Do you are you working on another project? You said you were, you know, you were happy with how this one turned out, and you're ready to move on and go to the next thing. Do you have anything cooking?
I am starting to write my first feature ever. I have the longest thing I've ever written, and I started it like this month, so gonna be a long time, but I guess I have an idea of what I want to do next. Yeah. Great.
So Kat, tell us a little bit more about your inspiration. You told us a little bit in the beginning, But why this topic specifically for you?
Well, there's several reasons. I mean, I usually direct kind of crazy stuff, like action and horror and sort of surreal, and so it was definitely a challenge for me that I wanted, just have two people in a room, with not a lot of stuff going on, and so that I really, wanted to do. It's also like a personal topic for me. So I wanted to tell that story from that perspective of how it feels. So the audience, whether they had experienced it or not, or known somebody or not, would be able to put themselves in those shoes. So even though there's, we shot handheld for that reason, just so you could feel like you were there, like the camera was another character in the film, maybe, I don't know what was lost. And there's not a lot of movement in the piece because they're mostly just seated on a bed for the most part. But just having that, like, that movement there with you, like, helps. I felt, or I wanted to at least have you feel like you were there on the bed with them. And yeah, what else? It was also like, I do a lot of like dark comedy, and just doing this straight drama. I really thought there was a risk of being maybe a little melodramatic at times, especially since it was emotional. And so there was this fine balance constantly to be aware of, like during pre-production, in production, and in post, of not going too far with that, and because then I would alienate the audience, and make them not feel, like they, could understand and have empathy for these two characters. And so all of those things were, just, I took really seriously, and was, my inspiration for taking the job, really. It's my first like director for hire job as well. It's the first time I haven't written something that I've directed. So that was interesting as well, to serve someone else's vision while like adding on to it. And I want to direct TV one day, and be able to collaborate with showrunners and, step onto someone else's set, into someone else's home. And so it was like this multifaceted thing that I, wanted to do. And yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I think you were very successful at what
Thank
you were
you.
trying to achieve with your film. It's interesting when I was thinking of supplements again, and science fiction, and striking that right tone to make it something no one's ever experienced before, but also real and believable. And I feel like supplements really had those elements. It was just a complete package. It was very engrossing and different, but also you could feel like this could happen, or this is really happening. So how do you do that what do you think about as a sci-fi genre director, to get your audience to feel those things?
I think mostly it's about creating a real grounded story and then placing it in a world that is new, essentially, right? So it's really the story of a girl, her family, her brother, saving, having to go raise money to save their grandmother for medical treatment, and going to an unknown place and getting involved with people who don't have their best interest at heart. I mean, that's kind of a universal story And I think that for me, it makes it really fun and interesting to put it in these. I mean, this is why that's very similar to musicals for me, because you're essentially taking like a very real grounded human story and placing it in a heightened environment, right? And for me personally, the reason I love genre is because I think that that allows an audience to lift their own veil a bit and find similarities in these characters that they can relate to, because it's not super mise en scène, you know, documentary style. Like the idea for me, at least, this is why I love it, is because we're dealing with these universal themes, but in kind of this magical realism world, right? And so you can see this family and you can root for this family or this girl, or you can root for the antagonist and be like, yeah, she just wants to live forever. So who can blame her, you know? So I think though, by taking it into this like heightened space, it really allows us to let our guard down and relate to these characters, and then walk away later being like, why did I relate to that character? Because really they're making choices that we're making every day. They just have a different set of stimuli, you know? I mean, that's how I find relatability comes in these genre things. I think it's hard if you, for me, it always starts with character, and it always starts with the human element. And then the other elements are the fun parts that like make it exciting and fun and kind of shake it all up and make it fun to watch as well, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you don't start with the human though, it's really hard to relate. You know, there's some shows I've seen where it's just very all magic all the time. And for me, a little bit harder to relate to the characters because I don't find anything of myself in them, you know, which is also quite frankly why I'm a huge proponent of diversity in all of my films, because I want everybody to see themselves in the things that I make, you know. And I think also, especially with like women in sci-fi, that's a huge thing for me. And especially women like in the series, Dr. Mercole, the bigger series, is dealing with basically innovating a new form. It sounds really boring, but a new form of paint for spaceships for time travel. That's basically like one of her bigger goals. But we don't see a lot of women scientists on television. I mean, we could probably name them on one hand, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really important to show that not necessarily some like shiny thing, but just the thing she's doing. And I think it's, I find it fast. I mean, I was like, oh, what's the sexiest thing she could do is like create this cool new paint. I mean, but that's because I'm a nerd. So I think it's really important to just have that be fact and not have it be some shiny thing we're all pointing at. It's just part of the story. So that was really, really important to me as well, is to have women in science, not just like women in sci-fi, but women in science in sci-fi, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And how about for Chicken Man? Chips, tell me a little bit about what kind of reaction are you getting to your film? How are the audiences relating to it? What kind of feedback are you getting?
The majority of the people who have seen it so far have been like friends and family. So it's kind of hard to take their feedback like seriously because they already know me as a person. But the few times I've interacted with people who I didn't know who have like commented about it, they could say a lot about like relating to, I guess, the emotion of it, even though it's like a situation which seems kind of absurd. They like relate to the emotion of, especially like I had like an 80-year-old woman comment about how like she thought it was like captured the like what it felt like to be a mother through like the relationship between the chicken man and the mother character, and that really touched me when I heard that.
So So maybe after this festival, you'll have a lot more feedback from general audiences.
I hope so. Yeah, I have done only like private screenings so far. This is one of the first festivals I've been in for this film.
Great. Well, congratulations. Well, let's see. I want to see if there are any questions from anyone who's tuning in. I'm not quite sure how to do this, but while we're waiting for questions, I have another question for all of you. So what do you plan to do after, like, what's your next project after this? And it sounds like some of you are hoping to turn this project into something bigger, but beyond this project, what are you working on, or what are you planning?
Hi.
Let's see, who can start? Okay, Lynda, go right ahead.
We've done a treatment for this that we're holding. I am writing the pilot of an 8-episode limited series that I've been 2 years developing. It's a period piece, and I have a feature in the UK that I'm slated to direct if they ever get any money, and the same for one here. So I have a lot of things that are all irons in the fire, but nothing's hard enough to brand yet.
How do you do all of that? Are you a Wonder Woman? That's the thing about filmmakers. They've got so many different things going on, which is kind of amazing.
you kind of have to have a bunch of stuff going on because you don't know what thing is going to stick somewhere. The other thing is when you go into meetings and you talk to people, you might go to pitch one thing and they might go, yeah, not really. What else you got? You know, and so suddenly the thing that you were having in hold becomes a thing you start talking about, which they go, oh, I love that one. You know, so you need to have other projects that you're working on at the same time. But I have realized that there's a limit. And I couldn't have them all be at the same place at the same time, because I think my little creative brain would just blow up. But because they're all in different places, I can work on them. I just have to have it very organized on my, on my computer and on my desk and my tubs of research and information, so that I'll be like, okay, I'm putting on, like the Spy Girl movie thing, or the missing persons one, or the period shipwreck, or whatever it is. I have to just put that brain, into the front and work on those things. You can't do it all at once.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, but it's great that you are able to develop multiple things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like if it's that great phrase of like, if you do what it is that you love, you don't ever work a day in your life. I have passion for all these projects. I love storytelling. I've always been a storyteller. So the idea of being able to, because I've not got any money, but the idea of being able to create stories and tell stories and share them with people and potentially make money from it again is awesome. So it's not, if I had to juggle 4 things that I had no desire to do, then that would be hard work. But this isn't hard work because it's doing something that I absolutely breathe to do. So
Oh, lovely. Well, we look forward to seeing more of your projects.
You will.
So Kat, tell us what you have in the what else do you have in the works?
Well, one of my films just got distribution, so that's encouraging. And I've been shortlisted to direct a feature. But I'm mostly, when it comes to being hired and things like that, I don't get too excited anymore. I try to just focus on my own projects because that's what feeds me. And I do have like 4 projects in development. So 2 features and then 2 comedy TV series that I'm just writing right now. And yeah, just, polishing up my pilots and things like that. And then seeing who, which one sticks, getting it out there and getting people to read it. And my, the pilot short that I talked about earlier, that's already, put together as a series. So just trying to get people to understand, why it's important right now and things like that. And then I teach acting every week as well, which always feeds me. I love working with actors. I am an actor. I was an actor first, been an actor for like 27 years. So acting is like, and just talking about acting and thinking about it and, helping actors grow is like my favorite thing on this earth. And right at this very present moment, I'm driving from Los Angeles to Toronto because I feel like going home for a few months and with my 2 cats. And yeah, so that's what I'm really doing right now. And
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is.
I miss being on the road.
Yeah, something happens to you on the road. I've always loved road trips. When I first came to LA, I'm also a painter, and I had this like brilliant idea of photographing my large oil paintings on wood across the old Oregon Trail. So from Ontario and then across the continent and down the coast. And it was a lot of work, but I love having those photographs as memories. It was something. Yeah.
Fantastic. And Sarah, what else are you working on besides Supplements, the series?
Yeah, so Supplements is a big push for us. I'm actually developing a feature that is a sci-fi musical, believe it or not.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's hard. It's, crossover genres are hard, but I feel like if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be me. So, and I'm really excited about it. It's got a little circus culture in there, so I won't tell too much, but I'm really excited about it. So that'll be my next big project. And then there's a bunch of little shorts that are sort of trickling around. So
wonderful. And Chips, I know you said you're working on a feature and developing that. So anything else, or are you putting all your focus into one thing for now?
Yeah, I work in film, like I do practical special effects on sets. So that's like my main thing, but on my free time, writing a feature that will hopefully get made one day is my main focus, I think.
That's great. And Nicholas, are you working on all these things together with Sarah, or are you
yes and no, some things. I'm doing a lot of my other projects, though. I have a lot of shorts in the works and a feature I'm trying to get off the ground that's actually in Mystic as a finalist this year. Yeah. So I'm trying to get that.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
yes,
so I'm trying to get that feature off the ground too. That's kind of my main push for right now.
Yes, well, I wish you a lot of luck with that.
Thank you.
It's going to be amazing. And your film is screening on Sunday, right? Or is
Supplements is?
Yeah, is it screening tonight? When does your film
Oh no, Nick's he has a feature screenplay.
Oh yeah, my screenplay.
Oh,
Yeah.
screenplay,
Oh, sorry.
yes, yes.
Yeah, my screenplay is just the script is the finalist.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's very exciting. So, and our, I'd love to hear what our actors, Kat, you're an actor too, but I mean our other actors, what you have in the works, what else you're working on.
So right now, as I feel like as an actor, everything is like slightly post-apocalyptic, with everything going on in the world. There's not really much happening, so I don't really have anything lined up after this. I'm just slowly auditioning for things. Yeah, but that's about it.
He's waiting for the series for supplements to go.
Yeah, that too. Also, yes. I'm making sure I have zero conflicts.
Awesome, that's great. And what about you?
I'm along the same kind of lines of excited to see what's going to happen with supplements, and like was being said earlier, the industry has been a little slower, a little different. So I've been grateful to play around in different genres, doing some voice work, doing some other projects, and I love the idea of a sci-fi musical. That's the theater is part of my background as well. And I think the biggest thing is that since we've had this more isolated time is to really invest more in my writing, and, the idea of, writing something that you might have thought of for the stage, but now it's like, well, what about a short film? Or what's a way to tell the story in a different environment? And so that's kind of where I'm doing some writing and thinking about the different ways I can kind of use different genres to tell these stories. And so it's exciting to kind of, I know I've been really excited even in just this panel with just seeing all the creative people and all the creativity that is inspiring. And right now with what we've got going on in our world, we really need that. So I'm excited to work on creative projects and see also what others are doing.
And Lynda, did you say that you also do some writing?
Yes, I do writing and voice work and all of that kind of thing, because my primary initial background, in addition to acting, was in media production, that kind of thing. So I think at this time it's good to be able to have your hands in some different places, to not only, for actor support, but also for just being able to utilize that creativity that others have mentioned earlier, having different places to put this energy that's kind of been a little stifled with everything going on right now.
Right, right.
Also, one of our other actors just jumped on, Leticia.
Oh, Leticia, hello.
She's one of the producers and the lead actress.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello. I was like, my video's deactivated.
I recognize you.
Yeah, sorry, I totally missed the link, so that's my fault.
No problem. We're actually about to finish up, but I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in supplements.
So my name's Leticia. I played Kirka in supplements, and Sarah's actually my business partner. We have a production company, and we've been doing short films and branded content since 2014. So that's how I got involved.
Wonderful. Well, I wish you all the best, and I'm really excited for the films that we have in the festival, your films, and after hearing everything that you're planning and working on, I'm just so excited for you, and I'm sure we're going to hear great things about all of you in the future, and we hope to see more of your work at our festival. So I wish you lots of luck, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.